Welcome, everyone. I'm Tracy Fitzpatrick, and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at NetCom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's webinar, Faster and Easier Ways to Cyber Threat Detection. And presenting today's topic is Mitch Garvis. Mitch is an IT professional with over 25 years of experience in designing, implementing, securing, administering, and managing secure systems and network infrastructures for companies of all sizes, including private, public, government, and military. He's traveled to every continent, consulting, lecturing, and teaching on various IT topics, and has successfully led projects and managed teams at high-profile companies. As a technical trainer and certified instructor for over 20 years, Mitch has consistently received excellent instructor evaluations, reflecting his commitment to delivering the best training possible. Now, please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic. We offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored to your specific requirements. If you are interested in a further discussion, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you'll get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. NetCom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adapting to change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We do have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. And today's presentation is from the security practice area. NetCom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio of courses for the topic being covered today. Our upcoming classes include various trainings on the given courses. You can also access a variety of marketing assets, such as the free training and blogs, by clicking on the available event handout. These offerings can be found with a simple search on our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session will focus on the challenges of cyber threat detection, overview of strategies for detection, and effective ways of faster and easier detection. And now I would like to give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To begin with, you do have the option to view in full screen by clicking on the full screen button on the right side of the GoToWebinar viewer. Simply hit the escape key to exit the full screen. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions pane, and we will address them at the end of the session. And to get the best out of today's events, we've included the slides, courses we talk about, and marketing assets in the handouts section of your GoToWebinar viewer. You may refer to them at any time to get a better understanding of today's topic. And we do realize that some of you may have to leave early, and want to let you know that as you do leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to take a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience and improve our future sessions for you. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. And now I'd like to pass this over to our trainer to present today's topic. Hey, Mitch, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I hope I'm audible and that you can all see my screen.
Yes, you are audible, and we can see your screen. Everything looks great.
A quick hello and a very warm welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm really excited for today's session on faster and easier ways to cyber threat detection. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat window. I'll be happy to address them by the end of this session. So let's get started. We're going to cover a brief overview of cyber threats and cyber threat actors. That's what we're worried about and who we're worrying about it from. We're going to look at the challenges of cyber threat detection, an overview of cyber threat detection strategies, some effective ways of advanced cyber threat detection, and what I call monitoring, auditing, evaluation, and Kaizen. After which I will take a few questions, and hopefully that will take us to where we need to be. So before we even discuss what detection methods we have to use, what are the threats that are out there? Now, this is not going to be a comprehensive list. I don't have enough screen space to list them all, but let's start with some common ones. Phishing, and everyone gets phishing attacks, and these are such a common way that the cyber threat actors get into your systems. Now, if you're not familiar with the terms spear phishing, that is when you are targeted directly rather than the threat actors sending it out to 1 million or 2 million of their closest victims. They're looking for 1 or 2 people in particular. Whaling is when they go after the really big fish. This is where they're going after the C-level executives and the top people in the organization, and really trying to do a lot more damage than they could do from the bottom. We have malware. We've been using the term malware and virus interchangeably over so many years, but it's important to realize that malware is not one thing. Malware is any software that is designed to use your computer in a way that you do not intend for it to be used, often to let other people in. So let's take a look at these. These are viruses. These are worms. Now, a virus is going to infect your computer. A worm is going to get into your computer and then try to get into other computers that you are connected to. A rootkit is trying to get into the lowest level of your operating system so that even anti-malware detection software will not find it. Zip bombs are hidden applications that are zipped and sent, and frankly, we look at them and say, oh, somebody sent me a file zipped, let's open it up, and poof, there's our malware. Backdoors are ways that once a cyber threat actor is in your system, they want to get into your system and stay in your system. So they plant backdoors, which are just ways for them to get in that you may or may not be aware of. You've got your security on the front door, but if you've got an open window around back that you're not monitoring, then that's just so much easier for them. Logic bombs, again, do things that your computers aren't supposed to do. Trojans are malware that are designed to look like one thing, but really are doing something else. Hey, I've got this great new game, let's run it. And while you're playing the game, the malicious package is doing its worst to you. Adware is somewhere between annoying and invasive. And when we keep getting pop-up ads on our computer, it can be annoying. And some of them are legitimate. Hey, we have ads on websites that help us pay to get free content. On the other hand, if we are getting pop-ups on our computer when we're not browsing the web, then that is malicious. Other types of threats, distributed denial of service attacks, where the threat actors are trying to prevent anybody from using your service. And it's easy. If we have a website that can host 100 connections at the same time, all the threat actors have to do is create a situation where 101 connections are trying to be made simultaneously, and they use botnets that they've implanted in hundreds of computers or thousands of computers around the world using malware. And all of a sudden, if there are more systems trying to connect to your website than you can support, then your legitimate customers or traffic or readers are not going to be able to get through. Identity-based attacks are when I am going to use methods like social engineering to figure out who you are and then try to impersonate you or act as you. This can be for bank accounts, this can be for all sorts of different ways, but if the bottom line is, if I can convince a computer that I am you, then I have access to everything that you would have access to, don't I? Code injection attacks are another common one, as are man-in-the-middle attacks. And according to some inclusive language discussions, we're not supposed to use man in the middle, so it's an inline attack, but we still call it man in the middle. Eavesdropping is when the bad guys are listening in and just hearing everything that you want to say. And if your information is supposed to be secret, well, guess what? It's not anymore. DNS spoofing allows me to change your DNS or the domain naming. Rather than coming to www.netcomlearning.com, you are going to be redirected to www.mysite.com. And sometimes it is saying, hey, we want your business. And sometimes it's just saying, you know what? We're going to disrupt everything. We don't want people to get to where they want to get. Ransomware is more prevalent in the last few years, where the threat actors will encrypt your data and hold it hostage. Hey, pay us X amount of dollars in Bitcoin, and we will send you the code to decrypt it. And then there's the Internet of Things based attacks, where if we have things like weather monitors or oil and gas pipeline or mining IoT, or even nanny cams and home security systems, if I can get into those, then I can do a lot more damage than a lot of people would think. And of course, malicious scripts are, I'm going to send you a file and say, hey, click on this. And it runs a script in your background. And oh my God, all of a sudden your computer is doing what I want it to do rather than what you expect it to do. And this can do anything from opening firewall ports and establishing command and control for me in your organization so that I can get in and elevate my access and then do, well, whatever damage that I want to do. So who's doing this? We look at all of these threats, but we have to look at where they are coming from. And these go from the smallest thugs to the highest level of, oh my God, this is serious stuff. We start with script kiddies who are living with their parents and sitting in mommy's basement, and they are just trying to get into whatever you have. Let's see what we can do. The script kiddies are trying to prove that they're able to do something. Okay. This can be breaking into your systems and just having a little bit of fun or doing serious damage. Then we have hackers and hacker groups. Their motivation is, let me show you what I can do. They're often having competitions and saying, okay, let's try to break into this system, and whoever gets in first wins. We also have hacktivists. These are people who think that they are doing God's work. They are pro-environment or anti-banking or anti-government or pro-mammals or anti-farming or pro-vegan or anti-vegan or pro-abortion or whatever their position is. They're extreme right-wing, they're extreme left-wing, and they are exactly what they sound like. They're doing it for publicity and to disrupt the public good. Well, from there we get a lot more malicious. We have actual terrorists and extremists who are doing it to fight their enemy and support their cause. You don't believe in what I believe in, so I'm going to destroy what you have online, and I'm going to get publicity while I do it. We have organized crime. Hey, if you've ever watched a gangster film from the 1920s, organized crime is about making money. It's financial gain. And then we have nation state actors, and their motivations can be to disrupt your economy or influence elections or change military plans or steal military plans. And these are all really scary people who are coming after you. But none of them are as potentially dangerous as your trusted insiders. These are people who work for you. You have vetted them. You have given them credentials in your system. And maybe you have not treated them very well. Maybe you aren't compensating them very well. Or maybe they just made a mistake. There is a very well-known story of a trusted insider who worked at a nuclear facility for a country that is not on the White House's Christmas card list, where he found a USB key in the parking lot. Just found the USB key on the floor. And he said, "Oh, I have a new USB key." It said on it 32 gigabytes. This is a big, expensive USB key. Let's take it into my office and figure out what's on it. Well, what was on it, in addition to all of the shiny, wonderful things that he was looking at, was a virus called Stuxnet, which, from my understanding, caused $11 billion of damage to this nuclear facility. He didn't do it on purpose. He didn't do it for financial gain or for revenge. He was duped into doing it. It was just a mistake on his part. So what are our challenges of cyber threat detection? First of all, we live in a day and age where everything is online and we have to protect all of our digital assets. There was a time when we might have had a small web presence, but most of what we had to access was in a vault, in a library, whatever it was. Everything is online now. It's great for the convenience of our employees. It is extremely worrisome to those of us who have to protect these digital assets. And so many of the digital assets are different and have to be protected differently. Okay. Now, we all have our jobs to do. We have our lives to live. We, on average, spend a couple of hours a month thinking about cybersecurity. Well, guess what? The threat actors are laser focused and have nothing else to do. They're not going on dates. They're not going about their daily business. They're not going to a job at Walmart. These are people whose job it is to get what they want from you. Get into your systems, disrupt, steal, capture, snoop, destroy, whatever their motivation is. That's what they do all day. And all of these threats change every single day. Oh my God. Every day you wake up, there is a new threat that we have to be aware of. So again, most IT professionals are not dedicated security professionals. They are spending a few hours a week on, or a few hours a month on cybersecurity, but we have to keep up their skills. And they, I say, make sure we stay ahead of the enemy. I'm going to say something very scary here. We will never be ahead of the enemy. Cybersecurity is at the heart of it responsive and not proactive. We take proactive steps to do the best that we can, but we have to adapt not in anticipation of what they might do next, but in reaction to what they did last. And we have to rely on third parties, whether that is vendors or partners or cloud providers. We no longer hold the entire key to our systems, and other outsiders are inside our systems, and sometimes our systems are in other people's servers. We're all in the cloud today. Well, we have to make sure that our cloud service provider, our cloud vendors, and our cloud partners are as reliable and as well vetted as the most senior of our sensitive employees. And of course, we have to make sure that our people are well trained. This is going to involve all sorts of methods that I will discuss later on, but training and certifications are hugely important, as is real world experience. But at the end of the day, the scariest part about cyber threat detection is that we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's coming next. Every single cyber threat that has come about over the last 50 years was something that we didn't anticipate was going to happen until it happened. And we reacted to it. And it's easy to say, okay, we're prepared now. But somebody's going to throw us a curveball in the future, and we're not going to know how to hit it until we do some batting practice. We have to recognize that we don't know what we don't know. We have to be ready to prepare, and we have to be agile, and we have to be ready to accept that we don't know everything, and we never will, and we never can. So what strategies should we take for cyber threat detection? First of all, the first term I'm going to share with you is defense in depth. There is no single action that you're going to take. There's no single system that you're going to implement that is going to save everything, that is going to secure everything. There is an old truism that the most secure system is the one that is not plugged in. Absolutely. But there's also an old saying that a ship in port is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. Our systems are online for a reason. So we can't just unplug them and bury our heads in the sand like an ostrich. Ostriches don't really do that, but we all have that image. Perimeter security is hugely important. Don't let the bad guys in. And if we have network segmentation that limits our employees and our contractors and our vendors and our customers to what they're allowed to see and what they're allowed to access. And it's not just a question of, sorry, access denied, but it's actually on a completely different network segment, then we are doing things a little bit better. We have to use next generation anti-malware and unified endpoint management. The term antivirus that we throw around so willy-nilly that we've been using since 1987 is an anachronism. Because as I showed you on one of my first slides, malware is not just viruses. And having a unified endpoint management program where not only are we implementing anti-malware based on signatures, but also based on behavior analytics and heuristics, but also based on machine learning and host-based information, host-based intrusion detection and intrusion prevention systems and patch management. Then we're starting to get into the next generation of UEM, or Unified Endpoint Management. In any mid to large size organization, we have to have a SIEM tool, security information and event management, with dashboards and backend systems that use artificial intelligence and machine learning. Because, as I said, these threats are evolving too fast for the human beings to follow. But if we set a static threat to look for, to have our SIEM tools look for, then the minute that threat evolves, then it won't be able to detect it. That's why AI and machine learning are so important. We need to leverage threat intelligence. We need to use tools like the STIX and taxi systems to see what our latest threats are, what is out there. And again, so much of this is going to happen too fast for us to react to. So if we can automate it using a SOAR tool, which is security orchestration, automation, and response, where we can use scripts that will take action against the threat as it happens, then we can get a little bit further ahead. We have to keep track of our user and attacker behaviors using data analytics. And of course, I love this one, set traps. A honeypot is a system that looks enticing to the hackers, and they're going to spend a lot more time looking there, when it really is a false flag. It is just designed to distract them while we try to respond and counterattack them. And of course, a honey net is an entire network of those. And threat hunting, it is so important that we know in advance what we are looking for and what we are exposed to. What are the latest threats to our organization? So we're going to have to do a lot of reading and studying and updating of our skills on a regular basis. Education. Education is hugely important. We need to continue to learn. We need to continue to read blogs, journals, forums, publications, but we also need to maintain our security certification with classroom learning from instructors who have been there and done that. It is wonderful that companies like NetCom Learning don't just hire people with book smarts, but they hire consultants and contractors who actually work in cybersecurity to teach their security classes. It is wonderful that CompTIA and other organizations no longer give you a certification that is good forever, because they know that the skills that you learned in a security class 3 years ago are possibly obsolete by now, so they expire, and we have to keep learning and keep studying and keep making sure that we are up to date. So what are some of the best ways to advance cyber threat detection? Well, I just spent 2 minutes talking to you about the importance of continuous ongoing training. We have to spend time on blogs and forums and in classrooms, learning, reading, and focusing on what is out there. We need to use threat intelligence tactics and taxi and sticks, as I said. But you know what? Every time somebody tells me that their systems are secure, it sounds to me like they're saying, somebody please hack me. We should be performing frequent security audits. How frequent is frequent? Well, it shouldn't be every year or every 6 months. This should be, depending on the size of your organization and the sensitivity of your data, a lot more frequent than that. Now, we should be auditing internally on an ongoing basis, but we should also be hiring outside gray hat hackers and penetration test organizations to see if they can get in. Look, if I know that I've built the systems in a certain way, then I'm going to try to attack those bastions and those ways in. But a penetration tester is going to try methods that I may not have thought of. I mentioned behavior analytics, which is so important because so many of our threats are going to be detected by anomalous behavior, the things that are not looking normal, whether that is a internal user who is all of a sudden acting a little bit cagey, or somebody who is external who gets in and shouldn't be in. Set traps, use your honeypots and honey nets, and sometimes we're just going to shut them out, and sometimes we are going to bring them in and lure them in and keep them so that we can actually get law enforcement involved. And again, threat hunting, don't ever let down your guard. Vigilance, go out there and see what's going on, and even surf some of the darkest places on the web that we don't want our children to go to. But that's where the bad guys hang out. You are not going to stop biker gang crime by going to the plaza. You have to go to biker bars. Well, the same thing is true. You can't stop cyber threats if you don't go and hang out where they hang out. You want to monitor, audit, evaluate, and I'm going to introduce you to a term, Kaizen. Now, our SIEM dashboards should be front and center. Every security operations center is going to have your dashboards, and it's very simple. Green is good, red is bad, and all of the other colors, whether it's orange or yellow or pink or chartreuse, are something we've got to look into. But we have to be watching these dashboards on a regular basis. So when something does turn red, we can respond to it. We perform our frequent audits to detect vulnerabilities in our system because our systems aren't perfect. If anybody thinks that their systems are perfect, they are on the maiden voyage of the Titanic, which was completely unsinkable until, oh my God, an iceberg. Evaluate your existing systems on a regular basis. And for God's sake, don't ever be complacent and say, what I've got is always going to be good enough. And do not get tied to a single solution. We need that defense in depth that I covered on the first slide. We need to use multiple tools because there isn't one type of cyber threat out there. There's myriad cyber threats. There's every type of cyber threat that you can think of out there. Kaizen is a Japanese word that means continuous incremental improvements, and it means that we should be keeping an eye on things on a regular basis, and don't wait for the new quarter. Don't wait for our budget to be refreshed in order to make the changes. Tweak, implement, supplement your systems as new tools become available and as new threats emerge. And oh my God, this is so important. Do not treat your security budget as an afterthought. This should not be whatever is left over of your overall IT budget. This should be something that you are spending money on. If you are protecting your organization, remember that it is not just the cost of what you might lose or downtime. It can be your reputational costs. It can be financial loss. It can be intellectual property stolen or compromised. It can be all sorts of things that you're going to say, oh my Lord, I wish I had spent the extra money protecting what I just lost. And again, this is so important, the ongoing training and certifications, learning, reading. There should not be, in this day and age, a single IT professional in your organization who doesn't spend X number of hours per week or per month learning, reading, and bolstering their knowledge of IT security. But is that where it ends? Absolutely not. Because it is one of those sayings that we hear all of the time, but what does it mean? Security is everyone's business. So it's not just your IT professionals. It's not just your IT security professionals who should be getting ongoing training. It should be every employee in your organization. Because how often are insider threats those oopsies? I didn't realize that I shouldn't have held the door open for the person behind me who looked pretty harmless and had 5 pizzas in his hands. I didn't realize that letting him in was going to end up in our losing our intellectual property. Well, guess what? If you don't train your users to not respond to malicious or potentially dangerous emails, if you don't train them in what a potential phishing or spear phishing or whaling email is going to look like, if you don't train them in this is why you need complex passwords and don't write them down, and here's the importance of multi-factor authentication. If you are not teaching them to know what threats are out there, who might target them, and how that can damage the organization, then you are not doing your job. And for God's sake, and this is one of the most important ones, you've got to treat your employees well so that they don't want to hurt the company. Security starts at the bottom and goes to the top. And as we saw at the very, very beginning, the threats that we are looking at are anything from cyber script kiddies all the way to nation states with unlimited economic resources who are trying to get what you are protecting. Don't you think it's worth spending the time and the money and the resources to make their jobs as difficult, if not impossible, as you can? I think your organization is worth it. So I will now take your questions for a few minutes.
Thank you, Mitch. That was very informative. I know everyone is looking forward to the Q&A session, so go ahead and start putting your questions into the questions panel. And while you do that, and now I'd like to give the presentation rights over to Robin, our vendor manager, to introduce our promotions and webinar related courses.
I would like to thank you all for attending this session on faster and easier ways to cyber threat detection. I sincerely hope that the session helped you gain better understanding of critical aspects of cyber threat in this digital landscape and how you can detect and mitigate those cyber threats. In case you feel like revisiting this session for any reference, please feel free to do so by clicking on the Access Recording button, and we would be more than happy to make it readily available to you.
Next, I would like to offer you a glimpse of NetCom Learning's capabilities and why we are the best that there is when it comes to learning services, training, talent development, and beyond. I take pride to announce that NetCom Learning is the winner of 2023 Microsoft US Learning Partner of the Year award. NetCom Learning has been into the managed learning space for 2.5 decades now and have provided its services to 80% of the Fortune 1000 companies. Having a strong reputation in B2G sector, NetCom has served over 100 US military bases. We have trained over 1 million professionals to learn and grow in their respective fields across 36,000 enterprise clients. We cherish a recommendation rate of 96% from our customers. All these numbers I've just mentioned have been a result of our specially curated trainings delivered by a portfolio of 3,300 plus certified trainers.
Moving ahead, being an ISC2 official learning partner, I recommend you to check out NetCom Learning's upcoming schedule of classes from ISC2 that are highly recommended for you to expand your horizon of knowledge around IT security. To further add value to your learning curve, we encourage you to access our free on-demand training and blog post related to IT security.
Moving ahead, I would like to give you a glimpse of our security skilling program. This is a specially curated program which is your one-stop solution for personal as well as organizational growth while protecting the businesses from cybersecurity threats. It is a comprehensive program with training on latest tools and technologies from top technology vendors like CompTIA, ET Council, IC Square, Microsoft, and AWS. We highly recommend you click on the Get Started Now button on the handout slide to explore the security skilling training that are highly customizable and are delivered by the top industry instructors through multiple modes of delivery across the globe. On the similar lines, and being a progressive learning organization, we have collaborated with EC Council to bring to you cybersecurity awareness training and phishing simulation solution. Nowadays, whether it is an individual or an organization, no one is safe from cybersecurity threats in today's growing digital landscape. With that in mind, this training solution is comprised of 90 plus interactive security awareness video courses for the end user that offers phishing simulation across various touch points such as voice, email, and text. We would be happy to offer you a demo that you can request by clicking on the request a demo button on the slide. You can also take advantage from Learning Passport, which is NetCom Learning's solution to a flexible team training. It is designed to be customized in line with the number of learners that you plan to train from top technology vendors like Microsoft, Cisco, Adobe, and more. Single package can be redeemed over 4,000 official courses with a validity of 12 months. Keeping in mind the requirement of our customers, we can further choose from learning saving passports or learning voucher passports as per your need and requirement. I would also like to introduce you to NetCom Plus Learners subscription, a learning solution that we have developed for our enterprise customers. All you are required to do is invest one time and reap the benefits of this unlimited access to authorized training from top technology vendors throughout a span of 12 months. As displayed on your screen, we deliver the subscription in 3 type of packages. Free or the silver package allow you to access 300 plus e-learning modules, or you can go for gold at $199. That gives you an access to 400 plus e-learning modules along with silver package benefits. Third, we have for you our best selling and most popular platinum package at $2,999 that gives you an access to 400 plus e-learning modules and 120 plus virtual instructor-led trainings in addition to the gold package. I would also recommend you to go through NetCom Learning's website for more information such as courses and certifications, our free virtual events, our blogs, and our currently running promotions. I sincerely hope we could add value to your knowledge base in the time you choose to spend with us during this webinar. For more information on such sessions and latest updates on IT and business training, please follow and give us a shout out on our LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter channels. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thanks so much for guiding us through all that information, Robin. And now we're going to go ahead and jump right into our question and answer session. If you haven't yet, it's not too late to pop your questions into the question panel. And as we start our Q&A sessions, we're also going to launch a quick poll that we want to invite you to participate in. Doing so helps us to know how we can better serve you by telling us who might be interested in more information or in taking some additional training. In addition, we have a lot more informative webinars coming up, so please go to netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register. And the first question we have today is, what is the best single step that we can take to improve our cybersecurity?
What is the best single step that we can take to improve our cybersecurity? The movies are great. I love the werewolf who gets killed with a stake through the heart, and I love Dracula with the silver bullet, and I may have those confused. There is no silver bullet to cyber security. We have to respect that brain surgeons don't become brain surgeons by deciding on Tuesday that they're going to be brain surgeons. Cybersecurity has to be a holistic approach with defense in depth and different tools and analytics and knowledge and training and professionals from different standpoints. We have to have the cyber incident response team, and we have to have written policy and procedure statements, and we have to have reaction policies and drills and red team versus blue team drills where we see people who are trying to attack us and how we react, whether that is a actual full-scale drill or if it is a tabletop exercise where we are just walking through, this is what we would do, so this is how we would respond, or anything in between. These are absolute necessities, as are everything else that I mentioned in your organization. Nobody loves reading through log files, but you've got to go digging through log files. You've got to see everything that's going on. So it starts with training, evaluation of your people and of your systems, implementing the right systems, bolstering them, maintaining them, managing them, and so on.
Next question. How can we make sure that our company always stays ahead of the bad guys?
How do we make sure that our company always stays ahead of the bad guys? You know, we use the term bad guys. In today's day and age, everything is as plain and relaxed as we can make it. In cybersecurity, it is the one area where it is adversarial. We refer to the bad guys as bad guys and enemies. And I'm going to tell you the scariest thing about that. There is nothing that we can do to stay ahead of the bad guys. All we can do is do our best to keep pace with them. We don't determine what the next threat is going to be. They determine that. And until they have decided, here's our next attack vector, here's our next tactic, technique, and procedure, here is our next way of making your life difficult, then we cannot respond. We have to wait for them to invent it to respond. Nobody built a gas station until somebody invented the gas-powered automobile. Nobody thought to put electricity into the houses until there were electrical appliances. And nobody is going to think of or implement a cyber threat defense mechanism against a threat that doesn't exist yet. It's scary, but if I teach you networking today, then 5 years from now, you may not know the latest and greatest, but you're still going to be a competent network professional. If I teach you cybersecurity today and you don't keep reading and keep going forward with that education on an ongoing basis, then 6 months from now, your skills are going to be anachronistic and obsolete because we will never be ahead of the enemy. All we can do is keep pace with them and react to and implement the tools to react to the latest threat that they come up with.
Once again, I want to remind you that as you leave this session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to help us by taking a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience as we are constantly looking at how we can improve our future sessions. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. We want to thank all of you for joining us today, and if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.